Ranger. This ought to be fun. I mean, we all know that Ranger has been very heavily changed. Dexterity and wisdom. Far from the bustle of cities, amongst the trees, wanderers of the wilderness, yada yada yada. Alright. I'm just saying, like, at this point, I get why they got rid of the fucking... God fucking damn it. So what, they get rid of all of their interesting, possible, decent changes, but then they fucking put weapon mastery on everything and use it as an explanation why they nerf shit? Is that what we're doing here? Is that where we're going with this? Feels like that's where we're going with this. I don't know, maybe that's just me being annoyed and whatever talking, but fucking hell. I'm not going to compare this to the original as much because the original was very heavily changed with Tasha's and stuff. But you have Deft Explorer, Spellcasting Weapon Mastery, so spellcasting was moved to 1 previously. Favored Enemy and Fighting Style. Favored Enemies moved from 1 to 2 since the previous UA. Subclass at 3, ability score improvement, extra attack, roving at 6, which used to be at 7 in the previous AA, but then the subclass feature used to be at 6, and here's at 7, 8, ability score, conjure barrage is new, deft explorer improvement is also new, but I think deft explorer has like something expertise in it. Whereas Ranger used to get expertise as a feature because it was part of the, you know, expert group, so it got expertise all of a sudden. 10 Tireless used to be 11, but then 11 used to be a subclass. 11 used to be Tireless, but then 10 used to be a subclass feature in the previous UA. It's now an 11 again. Ability score improvements. 13 used to be Nature's Veil. That's 14 now. Because 14 used to be a subclass feature, which is now 15. 15 used to be Feral Senses, which has been moved to 18. Conjure Volley at 17. Then Foe Slayer at 20. Which used to be at 18 because Epic Boon. Okay, so excuse me? Wait, hold on. Deft Explorer replaces the expertise feature at first level. Deft Explorer includes 1 expertise choice, along with some terrain-oriented material which playtesters requested. Hold on a second. I'm going to quickly open up Tasha's again, because I'm worried now. Because I seem to remember the 5th of November. If I go to Ranger, Deft Explorer is the first level feature which replaces Natural Explorer in Tasha's. I literally have the book open here. And Favorite Enemy is the name of the original Ranger feature, whereas we had Favored Foe in Tasha's. So I'm really curious what that means now, because okay, this is going to be interesting, I guess. Spellcasting 3 noteworthy changes. Spell preparation no longer tied to your spell slots. We know can change 1 prepared spell upon finishing a long rest, so it's like Paladin then. And cantrips are no longer included. Yeah, okay, so they got rid of cantrips for Ranger and Paladin. Are they going to do the same for Artificer then? Because pretty sure Artificer just had cantrips. Did they? I can actually see it because I have the book open here. No. Quality. Quality. Yes, cantrips. Yep, cantrips. So, curious. Because I do know that the original, like, the Player's Handbook Ranger didn't have cantrips. So, they reverted that. Weapon Master, because, sure. Favorite enemies move to second level, and it's no longer removes concentration from Hunter's Mark, which was overpowered in playtests. Wait, I'm sorry. Removing concentration from Hunter's Mark was overpowered? Really? What was the previous version of that feature? What am I missing? Wait. What? What was the previous version of that? Always have Hunter's Mark spell prepared. Doesn't count against the number of spells you can prepare. Don't have to concentrate on the spell once you cast it. Oh, wait. I mean, to be fair, they don't say you can only have one Hunter's Mark up at the same time. That might have something to do with it. I mean, I get it. Hunter's Mark is a decent spell, and if you can't even break the concentration on it, I think Hunter's, like, can't you increase its duration, or is that just hacks? One bonus action up to 1 hour. If you use a spell slot of 3rd level, you can maintain it for 8 hours. So, like, yeah, starting at like 9th level, you just like, you cast it and it's okay for the rest of the day, right? And you just like bonus action, keep moving it to the next target, and you always have an additional d6. Sure, like, I can see that. I'm assuming they tested this pretty well. I don't know. Might just be people who are like, oh, this is broken. I can't break Hunter's Mark. He's like, sure. Because I can cast it 3 times on 3 different enemies. Fuck you. Anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. Sure. Ranger subclass level match. Conjure Barrage new 9th level. Nature failed, no longer uses spell slots. Tireless now gives temporary hit points as an action. Alright, Tireless is a Deft Explorer feature. Yeah, okay. Conjure Volleys new 17th level. Foe Slayers return to 18. Foe Slayer is an improved version of the 2014 feature and is returned to 20 level, replacing Epic Boon. Okay. I'm very not impressed, but I don't feel like I'm getting a lot of impressions from this anyway. D10, 10, D10, Strength, Dex, I think has always been the same thing. 3 from Animal Handling, Athletics, Insight, Investigation, Nature, Perception, Stealth, Survival. Sure, Simple Weapons, Martial Weapons, Tools, none. Woohoo, Armor Training, Light, Medium, Shields. Yay! Still don't know why you would play a Strength Ranger, but hey, details. Ability score movement, yeah, so all of this seems pretty standard. Deft Explorer. I'm curious. You are an unsurpassed explorer. Choose one of your proficiency in a skill that appears in the range's skill list. So only these ones. Good to know. So stealth. Gain expertise in that skill. Choose 2 types of terrain: Arctic coast, desert, forest, grasslands, mountain, swamp, or underdark. You have advantage on intelligence, nature checks about the chosen terrains, and you have advantage on wisdom survival checks to track creatures in them. So wait, people were asking for this? Why? Who the fuck was asking for terrain-based ability? Wasn't that the whole point of the original Ranger? That made it so bad because it was so limited and so campaign dependent? I feel like that was literally one of the reasons. I don't know, like, at least that's the way I remember it, but sure, I guess. You still get expertise in stealth, which you didn't originally. Spellcasting shows your spell slots. Get them all back on a long rest. 2 first level spells. Additional spells from the primal spell list. After you finish a long rest, replace 1 spell in your list with another one. Wisdom is your spellcasting. Use druidic focus. Yep. Okay. If you finish a long rest, you can change the... Oh, whoops. I literally read over weapon mastery. Then again, who cares? It's the same ability. You get master property of 2 fucking kinds of weapons. The only one that gets 3 is fighter, apparently. Whenever you finish a long rest, change the kind of weapons you chose. Sure. Favorite enemy. Adept at focusing on a single foe. Always have a hunter's mark spell prepared. Cast a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier without expending a spell slot, and regain all uses when you finish a long rest. So you get free spell slots, is what we're saying. Look, I can see why having it without concentration is broken. Concentration is usually put on spells because it makes them balanced. I just still... I still feel concentration is very much an overused mechanic. But that's probably for... It's probably for balancing reasons, so I can't really fault them for that. Like, honestly, here I'm giving you guys the benefit of the doubt that you tested this, that, you know, it's not just some people on Reddit crying about Hunter's Mark being broken without concentration. Because that would have been a cool thing for Ranger to have, because it's literally their core spell and it doesn't feel like their core spell. So, yeah. Personal opinion, I guess. Fighting style, archery, defense, dueling, 2-weapon fighting. Wait, did Paladin not get archery? Did I see that right? What were the fighting styles for? Defense, dueling, great weapon, protection. Defense, dueling, great weapon, protection. And Ranger gets archery, defense, dueling, or 2-weapon. So they don't get protection, and Paladin doesn't get archery. Okay. Like, I'm going to repeat this, right? What exactly is currently in this current day of events, apart from visual representation, the reason that paladins are a strength class, according to their primary and multi-classing abilities. Let me say more than that. Why the fuck does it seem like rangers are kind of like pushed into this dexterity focused thing when they have strength as a thingy, when they have you know, why does a ranger not get heavy armor? Why can't you be a heavy armor ranger? Is that because of the druidic part? Because it's like, but druids don't use metal, so rangers can't either, so they can't use heavy, like, you know, like, I'd like to see the limit on paladins being a dex class, especially with their multi-classing. Like, you could make the argument of like, but then you'd be able to you know, multi-class bard and paladin, because you'd be able to play a dex character with no strength and yada yada yada. And it's like, yeah, sure, but you've completely destroyed Divine Smite. Who cares? Who cares about the fact that you can now smite once? It's like, nobody cares. You can't even do a 9th level smite anymore, which at least you could do that in the previous UA. Now you just have to cast spells. Because yay! Like, I don't know. Anyway. Technically they're not, like, don't get me wrong, technically archers aren't, like, rangers aren't actually pushed into dexterity. If you look at their multi-classing, like, oh no, wait, actually that's not true. Yes, they are. Their primary ability is Dex. You need to have a 13 in Dex, so never mind. I'm wrong. Yes, Rangers are pushed into Dex. I mean, sure, you can play a Paladin with 16 Dex or an 8 Strength, and you can play a Ranger with 16 Strength and 8 Dex. You just can't multi-class if you do that. But, like, I don't understand. Don't get me wrong, I think both classes, because they are half martials, need to have a strength or dex requirement to multi-class into them or to use them. Although, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I still think we should just get rid of the multi-classing requirements altogether. But, I mean, why can't you play a strength ranger and why can't you play a dex paladin? Why is that not a thing, apparently? But fighters can be both, apparently. Like, balancing, I guess, but at this point, since you've completely destroyed multi-classing options anyway, I don't know what you're balancing, to be perfectly honest. Ranger, Beastmaster, Fey Wanderer, Gloomstalker, or Hunter. But of course, Fey Wanderer you should use from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. I'm so surprised. Ability score improvements, extra attack. I'm so surprised. God fucking damn it. Roving. Speed increases by 10 feet while you're wearing heavy armor. Like, I mean, sure. Why? You don't have heavy armor. Not as a proficiency. You can get it by multi-classing into fighter or some shit, or into cleric. But like, fuck. I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed at this. Like, you guys are doing balance changes, but you can't fucking open up shit? Are you that afraid that we're gonna break stuff again? You know, that's what half of this feels like, that you're afraid that we're just gonna break shit again. Let us break shit, for the love of God. Let us break stuff. Technically, no, don't let us break stuff, but I don't know. God fucking damn it. I swear to God, this is why we need free updates for our fucking player handbooks. I mean, this is apparently not tied to your heavy armor, so you still have climb and swim speed. Sure. I mean, I can even live with this, even though I personally think they should have put something else there if you had heavy armor. And they should have given you proficiency with heavy armor. And got rid of the dex requirements, or at least make it strength or dex. Subclass feature, gain a feature from your range. Subclass, ability score improvement, sure. Conjure Barrage. You can cause your weapon to multiply and strike a creature before you always have Conjure Barrage prepared. Sure. You get a second proficiency that you get expertise in, and you get 2 more terrain types for Deft Explorer. Sure. Whatever. Tireless. As an action, give yourself a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d8 plus your wisdom. You use this action number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. You can, okay, sure. As an action, though. I mean, to be fair, temporary hit points remain until you've had a long rest. So, yeah. So this is pretty much Tireless from Tasha's, right? They've pretty much taken Tasha's and put it into play, which I don't mind. Those were pretty decent changes, if you ask me. Tireless didn't used to be a feature in the player's handbook, right? Did it used to be a feature in? Yeah, it did. Finish a short or long rests. Okay, now it's an action, and it used to be when you finish a short or long rest, you get temporary hit points equal to 1d8 plus your proficiency bonus. And when you finish a short rest, you also decrease your level of exhaustion by 1. Anyway. 11, subclass, 12, ability score improvement, Nature's Veil. Evoke spirits of nature to magically hide yourself in view. Bonus action, give yourself the invisible condition end of your next turn. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. Nice. Used to be. Okay, you don't have to use a spell slot anymore. Sure, that's better. That's a lot better. 16 ability score improvement, 17 Conjure Volley. Always have Conjure Volley prepared. Feral Senses, Blindside within a range of 30 feet, and Foe Slayer. Go an unparalleled hunter of your foes. When your attack roll misses the target of your hunter's mark, and add your wisdom modifier to the attack roll, potentially turning it into a hit. In addition, whenever you hit that target with an attack roll and deal damage to it, you can add your wisdom modifier to the damage. Okay. Okay. Foe Slayer used to be a D10 for your hunter's mark instead of a D6. And in the player's handbook, you can just add your wisdom modifier to the attack roll or damage roll of an attack you make against one of your favorite enemies. So there's no focus on favorite enemies anymore, which I think is good, because that was always a problem for me. Terrains I think are weird, but if it's one feature, then I don't really care. It's fine. Like, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, if you look at where Ranger came from and where it's gone to, Ranger's okay. Right? Ranger's like one of those classes that they've clearly spent time on. The thing here is just like, I don't feel like they've spent time on it during the One D&D playtest. Because again, this doesn't feel extremely different or extremely surprising or whatever. They apparently tested favorite enemy and came up with, let's be honest, a feature that they've stolen from the other classes that they've already made and just molded it into a ranger feature. But yeah, I mean, sure, this is fine. It's nothing more, but then again, this entire document's nothing more than fine.